trying to learn guitar, there are a lot of people that are telling us a lot of things about how we should do that. Now, the problem is that some of these advices are not accurate, and it could lead potentially to wasting a lot of time. So I want to save you a lot of time. So here are 10 myths, I don't know how to say it. Here are 10 guitar myths that we can use without. Theory is not for me. Music has no rules. Well, I agree that music has no rules, because you can create whatever sound and whatever you want. That's very true. But we need to understand the framework. The truth is that by looking at a lot of information and grouping it together and calling it names, basically tagging the information as chords, major, minor, we can listen to something and then respond to it. We can break it down and understand structures and therefore process way more information. So music is actually a tool of communication. It's sort of like being in this room and looking all around and trying to get out and not knowing, not identifying the door. This is not theory, this is practice. Oh, so you know, I created a free PDF and video for you guys. It's dealing with technique and how to get stronger and better with technique. So it's all free, just check it out here. You can download it, it's yours. If we look at these two chords, C to A minor, I can process that information and understand this is actually a 1/6 in the key of C. Now it is theory, but it's very, very practical. So don't be afraid of theory. First, you need to know all the scales in the world and only then create music. Well, this is of course not an accurate statement. The idea of working with music is understanding structures, understanding sounds, of course also understanding scales, but we can start with one scale, start with one sound, one color and start creating. So the idea of practicing and being really, really fluent technically and only then making music is really a false statement. So make sure when you're practicing technical stuff, it's totally great, but make sure to practice also music. The connection to the music will make your technical practice way, way stronger. I heard this one many times. Why am I the only one struggling with this idea? Well, as we know, we oftentimes feel that we are the only one struggling with a certain topic. For example, struggling shifting bar chords. For example, struggling understanding extensions and jazz chord. Now, the subject does not matter as the idea that we are the only one that are struggling. The truth is that a lot of these pieces of information are not simple in the beginning, but we need to break it down and to try and understand what is laying behind it, what is sort of like the trunk of the tree. Not looking at the leaves and the branches first, but looking at the core information and trying to understand the simple things first. Later on, it will get easier to also build on top of that and get more complex. So everybody's struggling and everybody's working on something that is not easy, but that is the process. First, I'll practice a lot and only then I'll work on my ears. Man, this is maybe the most tragic mistakes musicians and specifically guitar players do, because I know that we care a lot about facility and it's awesome, it's not a problem, but disconnecting the music from our ears is a really bad move, because the idea of music is sound. So if you can understand, tag it, and process it, everything will get easier. So the work on your ears and the work of listening needs to be a process within music, even when you're playing scales, or of course when you're playing scales, when you're playing legato, when you're playing exercises. They're just drills, quote unquote, and kind of different shapes and ways to look at music. So don't forget to always work on your ears. I want to create something new, so I'm not checking anybody out. Man, music is a language and it's in context. So I'm not saying you have to be, a Wes Montgomery or a B.B. King or a John Mayer copycat, although it's probably gonna teach you a lot of music. But you don't have to do that, but you definitely have to understand what people do. You wanna understand the language, because it's not a true art form, the way I see it again, if you're just misconjugating and make spelling errors without understanding the syntax of the language. So the same thing when we're creating music. You want to check out people, listen, understand, absorb, transcribe, write, try, fall, get up, all these things. It's the process. So trying to not learn lines, trying to not learn licks, trying to not learn solos is not a good idea if you're serious about music. So I will instead encourage you to just check out everybody. Sounds are sounds, and we can learn from anything, almost. Playing in time is not a big deal. Man, potentially the worst advice or sentence I heard. When we're playing music, time and rhythm, the pulse of it is a huge deal and potentially the most important element. So if we can understand that from the get-go and be tentative, I think that's a word. If we can understand that from the get-go and really pay attention with everything, so when you're just playing a little thing, try to groove with it, try to feel the pulse, everything will sound better. The reason, Pat Metheny, for example, sounds so good, he's like, a bulldozer of time and rhythm. The reason that, B.B. King sounds so good is, of course, the notes are good, but the time, the groove, the feel, they're all linked. So we need to pay attention to that, not to kind of disconnect that from the music. On the contrary, work on time with everything you do. Be respectful to that element. Oh, you'll hear it, don't worry. Okay, so it's true, we need to work on our ears, and a lot of times we can hear songs and chord progression, it's totally fine. Nevertheless, if you are playing a show, for example, it is good to be clear with the information. For example, saying, let's play Just Friends in the key of C, not just calling a tune and hoping that everybody will play the same key. That happened to me when I started playing and started singing in. I remember specifically that song, I went to a jam in Israel and I called that song and I was really excited, and then it was in a different key and I was totally lost. It took me so long to like reorient myself and I was super stressed and nervous anyway. But if I would just communicate that piece of information, saying like, hey, let's play this song and this is the key. Really clear and simple. Now, of course, a lot of songs we can hear, but it's gonna sound way better if everybody knows where they are. If everybody knows the key, the center of the song, and not just trying to wish for the best. If you're a guitar player, you have to play blues, funk, pop, jazz, R&B, and soul. And of course, classical music. Look, I used to think, and I think a lot of people that I know felt that way, that you need to know everything, and bossa nova as well, bro. Now, it's cool to know a lot of things, but the truth is that it's not necessary. I would strongly suggest diving into what you like. If you like blues, dive into that. It's great. You don't have to also play jazz and rock and fusion and heavy metal. Of course, if you're into all these styles, you can learn that language, that dialect, and get into it. It's not a bad thing to do, but you're not expected to know everything. So I would just say, choose your battles in a way, or at least start diving into the things that makes your heart tick. And if it's jazz, great. If it's blues, great. Later on, you can discover more style and more genres and work on that. But it's definitely a process to actually get good in all these things. So don't have the pressure of knowing everything. Choose what makes your heart tick. I'll only sit in when I know all the songs in the world. I don't even know what that voice is actually. But the idea of knowing everything and then doing something is ridiculous. You cannot know all the songs in the world. The idea of not trying to sit in or play with people before you know everything so you're comfortable is just absurd. We need to, burn and try and learn more songs and try to get comfortable with keys and all these things. But it's going to happen when you do the thing. So when you play with people, when you play gigs, when you sit in, all these things. You'll get hurt a little bit and then you'll grow. So you don't need to know everything beforehand. Just do the thing. Just start doing it right now. I'll only record when I'm really, really good. So music is a journey. The idea that one day you'll be really, really good, and only then you'll deserve to record your music and your art and your ideas, is a little ridiculous. I think recording is great and it's a part of the process. I'm not saying you have to record the album in the most expensive studio, but you can record at home. You can record with friends in a low-cost studio. But the idea of creating will push you forward. So don't wait 10 years to say like, oh, I'm gonna make my album in 10 years. No, do it now. Now is how you hear the music, and it will change and grow and adjust, and that's fine. But this is a part of the process. So don't hold yourself back from this process of learning, because I think recording is a great process of understanding music and getting better in music and making mistakes and correcting them and understanding how to get comfortable in situations. This video was a little different, so I hope you were into these ideas. For me, a lot of them were things I struggled with, so I just want to shorten your path and make sure that you guys can just do your thing as quickly and as with much love and fun as possible. Thank you. I'll see you guys very soon. Peace out.